The book is Postcards from Cookie. The author is Clarke, and this is an incredible memoir of your journey and how you discovered who your biological parents were and who your biological grandfather was, Nat King Cole. An incredible book.
Yeah.
Tell me, what kind of inspired you to write this?
It was such an unbelievable thing that happened to me. I didn't really search for my birth mother. She sort of dropped into my lap. It's oversimplified, but it's really true. It turned out she was the sister of a friend of mine. They both happened to be children of Nat King Cole. So it was just so unbelievable to me. It felt like such a gift. I just felt it had to be shared.
Now, the title is Postcards from Cookie.
Mm-hmm.
Cookie is your mom.
Right.
Tell me how Postcards kind of plays into it, because you wrote to each other, right?
We mostly wrote to each other. I'm from New York, she's from LA, 3,000 miles between us.
Wow.
Little kids, not a lot of time. So our relationship really developed through the mail, all sorts of mail. But she had a particular affinity for postcards. So I have reams of them now. Oh. And she could fit more in a postcard than most people could put in a 10-page letter. So it just turned out to be a real centerpiece of our relationship.
What a gift. And I can imagine, what did those postcards say? Was it just your week or how you were feeling?
Everything. You know, the first conversation we had, she was thrilled to find that I was a writer. She'd wanted to be a writer, but she'd become an actress instead. And she had this natural gift for writing. It was one of the things that clearly was a nature over nurture reality for me. And so it was everything from, she would create fictional stories about whatever the image was on the card. She would write her own poems. She would draw pictures. She would have poems from others like Maya Angelou, Nick Giovanni. Quotations, we both collected quotes all the time. She would interview me on cards, ask a million questions from, you know, did you wear Mary Janes as a little girl, to what kind of music do you like? So she really revealed herself in those cards in ways that I never would have expected, and that completely charmed me.
That's amazing. And it sounds like you two were sort of kindred spirits. She was a writer, you're a writer. Did things start to kind of click for you, saying, oh, we definitely, there's a reason why you're my mother?
Kindred spirits is the perfect way to put it, actually. We discovered, we both went to all women's colleges, we both majored in English, we liked the same types of music, we both loved to ice skate, we both loved sweet potatoes. I mean, it's a million little things that probably don't mean that much if you grew up with your mother. Right. But when you never knew her and you immediately click over these things, you do stop for a moment and think, that's amazing.
And what's sort of come out of this as well is having a relationship with the Coles. Nat King Cole, legendary singer, obviously legendary daughter who's a singer as well. What's that relationship like? Do you see them often?
I do see them. I saw my brother yesterday, actually. He surprised me at a book signing with my sister-in-law, my nephew. It's an interesting thing because I did know the family through my girlfriend, Timlin, who was Cookie's younger sister. I had met most of them. I had not met Cookie, but I had met Maria Cole. I'd met Natalie before. I'd met Casey Cole. So it just took everything to a new level, a very different one. Their complete willingness to open their arms to me, coupled with my parents who raised me's complete willingness to release me, it is a really awesome thing. I mean, it speaks to family on so many different levels and what it can be if you really trust the process.
Now, the book is about your biological mother, but you also talk a lot about your adopted parents. And I can imagine that it's sort of a mixed emotional journey when you decide that you want to go find your biological parents, not only for you, but for them as well. How did they react?
My parents were amazing. My parents never blinked. You know, this, as I said, was an accidental thing. So on the one hand, I wouldn't have searched for her, I think, while my parents were alive, because I never wanted my parents to think they weren't enough. They were more than enough. When it happened, I couldn't go forward with reaching out to her without their blessing. And they just never blinked. They gave it so wholeheartedly and so willingly. And as a mother myself, I think about the enormity of that, the risk they took. Anything could have happened. She could have rejected me. They must have considered, what if she's devastated by this? Or what if she falls in love with this other family, particularly because there were celebrities, and we lose her to this? They never hesitated. They never hesitated. That takes my breath away.
Wow. So what do you want people to get out of this memoir? What do you hope people walk away with?
You know, everybody has a story. Every family has a million secrets. Everyone has lost someone. Everyone wonders about this person who maybe they hear about, who they know is connected to them. They don't know how those pieces fit together. I think it's important to dig into those corners. Now, I'm a journalist, so that's what we do, right? I don't like question marks. But I do think the goal for all of us is wholeness. And if you have these little gaps and questions and corners, you need to fill them in order to be whole. It's not always going to be that what you find is great. And even if you do, it's not necessarily going to be easy. This process was not easy, even though it was amazing. But it's worth it.
Yeah. One last question. You know, a lot of people may be wondering, you know, nowadays, being a child of being adopted and knowing that you're adopted isn't so taboo. But it was a different time then, right?
Oh, totally different time. I think the distance our culture has traveled in our view of unwed pregnancy in a relatively short time is unbelievable. It was very, very common what Cookie went through. She was sent 3,000 miles away from home. There was this shell of secrecy around the whole thing. Tell no one, speak no word, go somewhere where you know one, have this baby, give it away, lose the weight, and come back and say nothing. There is a generation of women who suffered tremendous trauma doing this, but it was the standard for the day. So, you know, people have asked, were you angry when you met her? I understood, you know, even as a child being told I was adopted, that the circumstances then were very different. She had no choice. If she had, she would have kept me. But I am a firm believer that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. My parents couldn't have had me without Cookie. And I ended up where I was supposed to be. But I was also supposed to meet Cookie. So I'm just very grateful that I did.
Yes, you got two wonderful, loving families.
I did.
All right, Caroline Clarke, thank you so much for joining us. Your book, Postcards from Cookie, it's wonderful, it's emotional, it's a must read, and it's found at bookstores nationwide.
Everywhere.
All right, thank you so much.